One of the things I say about narcissists is they're like comets of the night. You have no idea they're there until they hit you, and then they leave a path of destruction. After they're gone, you're left looking at the damage they've done to your life. I read somewhere that after a relationship with a narcissist, a person goes through a period of self-reflection where they figure out what the hell just happened then. I was surprised when I read about this because I realized that I was going through exactly the same thing. For me, it took about a year to come to terms with what had happened. There are a lot of things that I can say about this kind of process or this period of self-reflection, but I'm going to just say 4 things which I think are important. The first thing to do in this process is to educate yourself, is to learn about the word narcissism, learn about the language that describes narcissists, learn how they behave and what they do. It was quite a while after we broke up that I first came across the word narcissism, and I read an article about a narcissistic relationship, and I was shocked because it described our relationship right down to a T. And after that, I was able to retrospectively interpret our relationship, and all of a sudden the craziness made sense. In this process, you've really got to find something that's important to you. For me, it was the idea that she wasn't going to change. I kept thinking maybe if I tried a little bit harder, maybe, our relationship was new and we would settle over time. I even managed to convince myself quite a few times, in fact, that she was never going to change. But I always felt like that was a harsh attitude to have, and maybe that was one of the problems. And so I always drew back from that idea. It was only after the relationship ended that I remembered all the times that I had thought that she couldn't change, and then backtracked on that. And it solidified for me that, in fact, she was not going to change. And that was the big thing for me, which allowed me to move on. The third thing to do in this process is to piece together your reality again. You've just spent a long time with your reality being pulled out from underneath you. And so you need to find out what you can trust and who you can trust again. The fourth thing you can do, and certainly not the least, is to start believing in your own boundaries again. Your boundaries are not there to abuse other people. Your boundaries are there to protect you from the abuse of other people. One of the things about healing from a narcissist is that you're essentially alone. During the relationship, you tend to be cut off from other people. And after the relationship, people start question why you stayed, or the story seems so unreal that it seems unbelievable. This is the thing about narcissists. If you think of somebody as conscious and self-aware, it's hard to think that somebody would act like this. And so when you try to describe it, people will think that you're probably exaggerating it because you're emotional. But as I said earlier in the video, narcissists are like comets, and until you've actually been hit by one, they're out of your experience, and you won't think that they do exist. Think about this. If you didn't know anything about Trump, and somebody tried to tell you all the crazy tales that went on, would you believe them? There's some pretty tall tales there. And what's more, you have the Trump supporters who are saying, oh, well, none of this ever happened. Don't be stupid. Those things don't happen. So who sounds more reasonable? You with your tales of narcissism, or the Trump supporter with their tales of normal behavior? Obviously, the Trump supporter sounds more reasonable. And so even if you want to remain objective and want to remain neutral, you're going to believe that Trump is less worse than he actually is. The important thing about Trump's case is that everything was recorded. In a normal relationship, nothing is recorded, so people are relying on their own memory, which is not very accurate. And so a narcissist may say something and then do something else, and then a person may think, oh, well, maybe the narcissist didn't say what they really said. But in Trump's case, everything is recorded and they can go back and see, and they can trace his narcissistic personality. This is really important because it means that narcissism isn't just something that's slowly discovered by somebody in a relationship where they have to go through the hell of doubting their own senses and then wondering if anyone believes them. Now we actually have real data to show, look, this is what a narcissistic personality does. When Trump is gone, whenever that may be, I would hope that America goes through a similar period of post-reflection where they learn about narcissism, which it leads to some kind of understanding and some kind of healing from what happened. I don't know whether my optimism will come true, but it doesn't have to be true for everyone. It just has to be true for those who are willing to listen. I feel like this video is probably the most important video that I've done so far. Not only because it's about healing, but because it's also about the future. It's only through our experiences that gives us wisdom, and that wisdom inoculates us against the manipulations of narcissists. By being aware of narcissism, and by having the wisdom of having had it happen before, we can recognize narcissism in others and protect ourselves and society. And ultimately, the question becomes, how do we deal with narcissists, not just in our own personal lives, but in business and in politics. And it is only through this period of self-reflection that we're able to start answering questions like that and to make a better future.